Before anything had shape, there was a voice. Not an argument, not a vote. A voice that speaks and things take their place. Scripture says, and God said, and it was so. Gen 1:3 short. This is the claim that frames everything else we will say today. You and I do not wake up in a self-made world. We wake up in a spoken world. That matters for our work and our worth. If the world is spoken by God, then meaning is not something we must invent from scratch. Meaning is something we receive and live into. Genesis describes the opening scene as wild and waste. The Hebrew phrase is tohu bohu, formless, wild. This means unshaped space that cannot hold life yet. God does not panic. He does not fight a rival. He speaks in an ordered rhythm. He makes light and names it day. He separates waters to make sky. He gathers seas to let land appear. He is making spaces first so life can fit later. That is how good work always begins. We form the frame before we add weight. Let me bring that into a normal Monday. You sit at a desk with 3 urgent emails, 2 pings, and 1 decision you have avoided. It feels like the deep tea home means watery deep. You want to dive into tasks, but you are not sure what matters most. Creation gives a simple pattern you can practice. First, separate. Name 3 spaces on paper today, this week, later. Second, place. Put the tasks into those spaces. Third, bless. Circle the 1 move today that serves people, not ego. Ego means self-centered desire. When you do this, your office does not become Eden, but you will feel the difference between noise and purpose. The text repeats a small line we often skip. God saw that it was good. Good here means fit for purpose. A room is good when it is ready for the person who will live there. A tool is good when it does what it was made to do. You are good, not because you are flawless, but because you are called to reflect God and care for what He made. That is what image of God means in simple terms. Represent God's care in your place. This is not abstract. If you run a shop, image-bearing looks like honest prices and clean floors. If you raise kids, image-bearing looks like steady love and clear limits. If you code, image-bearing looks like building things that help people, not trap them. Notice the tone of the passage. There is no hurry. There is evening and morning. There is naming and seeing. There is a steady cadence. Hurry is not holy. Pace is holy. God is not slower because He is weak. He is measured because He is wise. The first chapter of the Bible is not a productivity hack, but it will touch your calendar. It invites you to ask, what frames will help the right things fill my day? Here is a simple way to start this week. Set a daily start block. 10 minutes with a short psalm, a brief prayer, and a handwritten plan. Speak order into your morning, the way God spoke order into the deep. You will not control every wave, but you will have a shore to stand on. Small takeaway form the space before you fill it. In a moment, we will shift from forming the world to filling it. How days 4 to 6 place rulers in the spaces, and why your role carries real dignity. But first, sit with one question, and keep it plain so you can act on it tonight. Reflection. Where do you need to make one small space on your calendar, in your room, or in your mind, so life can fit again? If days 1 to 3 build the rooms, days 4 to 6 bring in the rulers. The lights go on in the ceiling to mark time. The skies fill with wings. The seas flash with life. The land wakes with animals. Then the camera pauses. Humanity steps in last, not because we matter least, but because we are meant to serve what came before us. That order teaches humility. We arrive in a world already speaking of God's care. Our job is to listen and carry it forward. The text says, God set the lights to rule day and night. Rule here means guide and govern for good, not dominate for self. When it turns to people, God says, let them have dominion. Gen 1:26 short. Dominion means responsible care. We are image bearers, which means we represent God's character in how we treat land animals and each other. This shuts the door on two errors. We are not gods who use the world however we like. We are not accidents with no calling beyond appetite. We are stewards, caretakers, who answer to the one who spoke first. Let me put this in a normal Tuesday. You manage a small team at a service company. The month is tight. It would be easy to squeeze hours rush quality and pass pressure downstream. Dominion for self would do that. Dominion as stewardship looks different. You set a clear standard, protect the team's rest day, tell the client the truth about timeline, and remove a blocker so your newest teammate can succeed. You still care about profit, but profit is not the throne. People are not fuel. They are neighbors. The work serves someone real at the other end of the invoice. That is image-bearing in public. The same holds at home. If you share an apartment, dominion looks like cleaning what no one sees, labeling the fridge kindly, and fixing the small thing before it becomes a big fight. If you are parenting, dominion looks like structure that frees kids to thrive, steady bedtimes, screens with limits, chores that teach dignity. Authority is not about getting your way. Authority is about creating a way where life can grow. There is a second thread in these days. Fruitfulness is commanded, not suggested. God blesses living things to multiply. That blessing shows up in work that multiplies good systems, that reduce waste tutoring, that grows skill mentoring, that lifts a life. When your effort produces more capacity in others, you echo the blessing of those creation days. This is why cutting corners feels empty. It multiplies stress, not life. One more line we need. God sees it all and calls it very good. Very good means the whole is fit for the purpose God intends. Your life will feel most very good, not when you control everything, but when you align your role with God's good ends. Ask, who benefits from the way I use time tools and words? If the answer is only me, the image is dim. If the answer includes my family, my team, my city, the image brightens. Small takeaway. Stewardship is authority used to help others flourish. Next, we turn to the surprise many of us skip. The story's peak is not more output. It is a day set apart. Day 7 crowns the week and teaches us how to carry authority without hurry. We need that because rulers burn out when they forget to rest with the one who rules all. Reflection. Where can you use the authority you already have at work, at home, or online to make someone else's life noticeably better this week? The week does not end with more work. It ends with God resting. God blessed the seventh day, Gen 2:3 short. Rest here does not mean God was tired. Rest means he settled into what he made. This means he took his seat to rule and enjoy. Day 7 is not a break from purpose. It is the presence that gives purpose its warmth. Without this day, the other 6 warp. Work becomes a way to prove yourself. Speed becomes your only gear. Silence feels like failure. Holy means set apart for God. Sabbath means cease and delight in God's rule. God blesses a day, not a place or a tool. That is a clue. He builds a weekly rhythm into the bones of creation, so every person, rich or poor, powerful or new on the job, can stop and remember who truly runs the world. The lights that rule time in the sky point to this pause. The pause is not empty. It is full of trust. Let me put this in a normal week. Sunday afternoon, you feel the pull to open the laptop just for a minute. Your child brings you a sketch. Your spouse asks about a walk. The inbox promises relief. The people in front of you are your real life. Sabbath says, close the lid. Take the walk. Eat simple food. Say thank you out loud. Write a short list, 3 gifts from this week. Pray one sentence. You are God, and I am not. That sentence frees your chest more than clearing 5 emails ever does. Some of us hear Sabbath and think of rules that choke joy. Jesus corrected that. He said the day was made for people, not people for the day. The aim is mercy, restoration, and glad trust. For some, the day lands on Sunday. For others, shift work pushes it. The point is, one day in 7 set apart to stop worship and renew. If you care for small kids or aging parents, your Sabbath may look like shared meals, naps, a walk outside, and a simple liturgy, a short, repeatable set of prayers. Keep it honest and light. Set the phone in a drawer. Let the world spin without your hand on it. Here is a practice to try. Choose your weekly stop before the week starts. Name it. Tell one friend so they can help you protect it. Plan 1. Enjoy a meal with someone you love. Plan 1. Mercy. Write a note or bring a small gift. Plan 1. Quiet 15 minutes alone with a psalm. These 3 moves turn a vague idea into a lived rhythm. You will find that the other 6 days gain sharper edges. You will say better yeses and kinder no's because your center is restored. Small takeaway. Rest frames work. It does not fight it. Next, we step into the garden itself. Eden reads like a sanctuary where humans work and keep sacred space. That language will show your weekday job in a new light. Your desk, your shop, your kitchen can become places where you serve and guard what is good. Reflection. What single boundary would protect a real weekly stop for you? Time phone, or one fixed plan with someone you love. Eden is not just a pretty park. It reads like a sanctuary. The text mentions rivers, gold, and onyx. Later, it will mention cherubim, heavenly guardians. Those details show a sacred space where God walks with people. In Israel's later worship, priests served and guarded the sanctuary. Genesis uses the same 2 verbs for Adam's task. To work it and keep it. Gen 2:15 short. Work here means serve. Keep here means guard. This means human vocation is priestly from day 1. A quick note of context helps. In the ancient world, temples were the center of life. They were the place a god's presence was honored and where order for the city flowed out. Genesis flips a common idea. Instead of people building a house for a god, God plants a garden and invites people to tend it with him. The world is not a machine to exploit. It is a sacred trust to cultivate. So what does priestly work look like on a weekday? Think of 3 moves. First, we prepare space so good can grow serve. Second, we protect boundaries so harm stays out guard. Third, we point beyond ourselves so God gets credit worship. A teacher does this when she arranges the room so every child can see, sets the tone. So mocking dies fast and celebrates effort with honesty. A contractor does this when he keeps the job site safe, chooses materials that last, and treats clients as neighbors, not targets. A parent does this when they shape a calm routine, lock the front door at night, and thank God at dinner. None of that is flashy. All of that is priestly. Let me put this in a simple story. A friend of mine runs a small coffee shop on a busy corner. He starts the day early with a checklist that most customers never see. Counters wiped, grinder calibrated, door swept. He posts the schedule so every barista knows their role. He greets the first customer by name. At lunch, a man comes in angry about a mistake on yesterday's order. My friend listens, apologizes, and quietly comps a drink. He also steps in later to correct the training issue that caused the mistake. Serve and guard. The shop is not a church, but it is space where dignity returns to people as they come and go. That is Eden work in a thorny city. 2 cautions help us stay on track. First, do not confuse priestly work with perfectionism. Perfectionism is control dressed up as care. It makes everyone tense. Priestly work is care with limits. It knows when to pause and when to leave a small flaw unfixed so people can rest. Second, do not forget that guarding is love. When you say no to gossip in the office, you are guarding the community. When you decline a shady deal, you are guarding your team's future. When you shut the laptop at 7 p.m., you are guarding your home. Guarding is not fear. Guarding is attention to what helps life thrive. There is also joy in this calling. The rivers in Eden suggest abundance. Beauty is not an extra. Beauty is part of how God blesses the world. Add a small touch of beauty to your place this week: a plant on the windowsill, a clean playlist, a note of thanks on a whiteboard. Beauty says, this world belongs to God, and we are caring for it. Here is a practice you can try in 10 minutes. Walk through your main space, desk, shop, kitchen with 2 questions. What single change would make this space serve people better? What single boundary would protect this space from common harm? Do the first change today. Name the one boundary and post it where it is seen. That is work, and keep in modern shoes. Small takeaway. Your everyday work is worship when it helps life grow and keeps harm out. Next, we face the gift and the limit that make love possible. Many trees are given. One tree is withheld. Boundaries are not against freedom. They train it. We will see how that boundary invited trust and how we still meet the same test. Reflection. In your main weekday space, what one thing will you do to serve better? And what one boundary will you set to guard what is good? The garden is full of gifts. Trees that please the eye and feed the body. Streams that cool the soil. Work that matters. In the middle stands one tree with a line around it. You shall not eat Gen 2:17 short. At first, that sounds harsh. It is not. The line is how love stays love. Boundaries are lines that protect life and relationship. This means freedom is not doing whatever I want. Freedom is learning how to want what brings life. Think of the command in 2 parts. First, lavish permission. You may surely eat of every tree. God starts with yes. He is not stingy. He fills the week with good and then says, enjoy. Second, a single no. One tree is withheld as a boundary of trust. The no is not random. It trains desire to stay inside a relationship with God. Wisdom grows by receiving life as a gift rather than grabbing it on our own terms. When we trust the giver, the gifts stay sweet. Let me put this in a normal evening. You carry stress home. The glow of your phone is a quick escape. You scroll during dinner and answer just one message. Your child says, "Watch this." You nod without looking up. You feel the tug and the cost at the same time. A simple boundary, no phone at dinner, keeps the meal a place of presence. You still have a phone. You still have freedom. But the line protects love. The same is true with money, with sex, with words. Boundaries do not starve joy. They keep joy from spoiling. We also need to name what happens when desire runs ahead of trust. We start to treat limits as loss, not protection. We rehearse why this time is different. We tell ourselves we deserve it. We shrink God's generosity to make room for our exception. That inner drift does not announce itself with evil music. It whispers, "You are missing out." The boundary stands there to answer, "You are not missing out. You are guarding what matters most." A quick word on conscience, inner witness, that says yes, no. Conscience is not perfect, but it trains well when Scripture sets the edges and a wise friend walks with you. If a choice needs secrecy to survive, it likely crosses a boundary that keeps you human. If a choice invites light, patience, and community, it likely lives within love. Here is a simple practice. Choose one area where blurry lines have hurt your weak screens, spending snack sarcasm, or staying late. Write one boundary as a sentence you can keep. No screens at dinner. No purchases over $50 without a 24-hour pause. No jokes about people who are not in the room. Post it where it lives. Tell one person who will cheer you on, not police you. Boundaries kept in grace last longer than boundaries kept in fear. Small takeaway: wise limits protect the people you love and the person you are becoming. Next, we will watch how a voice twists the boundary. The serpent will not shove Eve. He will nudge the words, shrink the cost, and bait the desire. Knowing that pattern will help you catch temptation earlier and choose better. Reflection: what single boundary kept in grace this week would best protect your closest relationship? Temptation rarely kicks down the door. It adjusts the wording on the sign. The serpent begins with a nudge, not a shove. Did God actually say? Gen 3, 1 short. He edits the command to sound smaller and the cost to sound softer. Eve answers. The conversation keeps sliding. Soon the tree looks not just good for food, but good for status. The steps are quiet. The fall is loud. Here is the playbook in slow motion. Step 1. Distort. Turn a clear boundary into a fuzzy one. Exaggerate God's limits and forget His lavish yes. Step 2. Deny. Downplay the consequences. Tell yourself the fallout is small, the timing is perfect, or no one will know. Step 3. Dangle. Promise a shortcut to wisdom or worth. Make it about becoming more without God, instead of becoming whole with God. Step 4. Isolate. Act alone quickly in the dark. The pattern does not change much across centuries because it still works. Let me put this in a Thursday at 4:45 p.m. You get a message that bends the truth about a project. It would protect the team's image if you let it stand. You hear a whisper in your head. Distort. It's not exactly a lie. More like skipping unhelpful details. Deny, no one will get hurt. Dangle. If this sails through, management will see your leadership. Isolate. Just hit send now. Don't ask the team. The serpent's voice does not hiss. It sounds like your own inner lawyer. If you keep the steps in view, you can slow the slide. Notice what the serpent attacks. He targets trust in God's character. He implies that God is holding back good. That charge still fuels most of our worst choices. We believe scarcity over generosity. We reach past the gifts in our hands to grab the one thing outside the line. When trust leaks, desire grabs, and we break peace to feel in control for a minute. The minute ends. The damage stays. There is a way to counter the playbook. We answer each step with a small, honest move. Against distort, we return to the exact words. Write the boundary as it is, not as fear or pride retells it. Against deny, we name the real cost. Say it out loud. If I send this, I teach my team that spin beats truth. Against dangle, we rehearse our identity. Image bearer is enough. We do not need a forbidden shortcut to be someone. Against isolate, we bring one wise person into the decision. Community is a guardrail. Guardrail means a protective fence. A short practice helps in heated moments. I call it the 2-2-2. 2 deep breaths, 2 questions, 2 contacts. The questions: what is the boundary here? What is the likely fallout if I cross it? The contacts: text one friend and one mentor, about to decide X. Any caution. Even a 10-minute pause loosens temptation's grip. You are not stalling faith. You are steadying it. If you are already mid-fall, do not hide. Confession. Plain, honest naming breaks the pattern's last step. Isolation dies when light enters the room. Confession to God is direct and simple. Confession to a trusted person adds strength. Grace meets us before we prove anything. The coverings God made in the garden hint at this. He meets exposed people with care and with truth. That combination is the only road back. Small takeaway. Temptation shrinks community and inflates self. Slow down, quote the boundary, name the cost, and invite one voice in. Next, we will face the fallout that spreads in 4 directions: toward God, toward each other, toward our work, and toward the ground itself. We will see why shame, hiding, and blame still haunt us, and how honest naming begins to heal them. Reflection. Which step distort, deny, dangle, or isolate catches you most often? And what is one small move you can prepare now to counter it? The bite is small. The echo is large. Their eyes open, and the first thing they see is lack. They sew fig leaves to cover. They hear God's steps and run for shade. Adam says, "I was afraid, and I hid myself." Gen. 3:10 short. Shame arrives before any sentence is spoken. Shame is the felt loss of worth under a gaze, someone's look. It does not say, "I did wrong." It says, "I am wrong." That voice drives people into the trees. Watch the spiral. First shame, then hiding, then blame. Adam hides from God, then blames Eve, and by implication, blames God for giving her. Eve blames the serpent. No one names the heart yet. This is how sin fractures relationships. We protect ourselves by pushing pain outward. The cost lands on the people closest to us. Trust thins. Conversation turns into defense. Purpose gets foggy. God does not play along. He calls out with questions, not because he needs information, but because they need words to step into light. "Where are you?" is an invitation to return. Then he names each fracture with clarity. The ground will resist. Work will carry toil. Toil means painful effort. Childbearing will carry pain. Marriage will carry a tug of war for control. The serpent is cursed lower than all creatures. Judgment is precise. It fits the roles they were made to carry. The fallout reaches in 4 directions: up to God, across to others, down into the soil, and inward to the self. Let me put this in a Tuesday meeting. A mistake on a client file costs money. You knew the risk and missed it anyway. Your boss asks what happened. Shame whispers, "You are the mistake." Hiding says, "Keep it vague." Blame offers, "The new hire wasn't clear." You feel relief for a minute, but the culture cools a degree. The new hire learns to hide too. The ground of your team grows thorns. The fix is not heroic. It is honest naming. "I missed the secondary review. That's on me. Here is how I'll prevent it next time." Suddenly the air warms. Trust takes one small step back toward center. We also need to see the mercy inside the judgments. God names reality, so healing can begin. Boundaries after the fall are not spite. They are guardrails that keep a broken world from breaking further. Pain in childbearing is not the end of family. Thorns are not the end of harvest. Strain in marriage is not the end of love. Work is still holy. Now it is hard. Each named pain points to places where we will need grace and persistence, not shortcuts. Shame tries to keep us mute. Confession breaks its hold. Confession means plain truth without self-hate. "It sounds like I did this. It hurt you. I want to make it right." The gospel will later give us the deep ground for this, but Genesis already shows that God moves toward people even as he tells the truth. He does not abandon the garden without a word of hope. That hope starts before anyone earns it. Small takeaway. When shame drives you to hide and blame, answer with honest naming and one concrete repair. Next, we will listen to the first hint of rescue embedded in God's words to the serpent, the promise of a wounded victor who will crush what deceived us. Reflection. Where are you tempted to explain or deflect today, and what is one sentence of plain truth you can say instead? Right in the middle of naming the damage, God speaks a future. He addresses the serpent, not Adam or Eve. That matters. "The enemy will not set the last line. He shall bruise your head." Gen 3:15 short. This sentence is often called the proto-evangelium. First, good news. It means a child born of a woman will crush the deceiver, though he himself will be wounded. Judgment lands, but mercy rises inside it. Why does God speak hope before anyone repents? Because grace is God's move, not our leverage. He does not wait for perfect apologies. He plants a promise that will grow across generations. The story will narrow to one family, then one tribe, then one kingly line, and finally, one person. The pattern keeps pointing forward, a deliverer who fights evil, not only with power but with pain taken into himself. Genesis does not give all the details. It gives a direction and a certainty. Evil will not win. It will be crushed. Let me put this in a normal living room. A couple sits on the edge of a couch after a blow-up. Words were sharp. Trust feels thin. The easy move is silence and distance. The promise move is different. One spouse says, "I hurt you. I want to repair this. Tomorrow at 4, I'll call the counselor. We'll go." That plan does not erase the wound. It plants hope in the middle of it. The hurt is real. The next steps are real. That is how God speaks here: real judgment, real hope. There is also a personal angle. When you feel defined by your worst moment, remember who God talked to. He did not let the serpent have the floor. He named a future where deception ends and truth walks back into the garden. The promise does not cancel consequences. It gives you a reason to keep walking through them. You are not working toward a maybe. You are walking toward a promise. A quick term to hold, bruise, crush in Hebrew, can carry the sense of strike decisively. This means a head blow that ends the threat. The serpents strike to the heel wounds, but does not rule. This picture helps when pain tempts you to think the story is over. Pain can be loud and still not be Lord. Here is a practice when life feels stuck. Write a 2-line promise plan. Line 1, name the broken thing in one sentence without spin. Line 2, name one faithful action that points to a better end call. Confess, schedule, show up. Put a date beside it. Promise plus action turns vague hope into a path. You are not saving yourself. You are aligning your steps with the God who speaks future into ruins. Small takeaway. God plants hope inside judgment so you can take the next faithful step before you feel ready. Next, we will watch mercy move even closer. Before they leave the garden, God covers their shame. He does not erase the exile, but he does not send them out naked. Reflection. Where do you need to plant a small dated promise action this week, so hope has a place to grow? Before the gate closes, God moves toward them. He made garments of skins and clothed them. Gen 3:21 short. That line is easy to skip. Do not. They had stitched leaves, quick, itchy, flimsy. God replaces their covers with something durable. He meets shame with care. He does this before they can fix anything. Mercy arrives first. Then the path out begins. Two truths sit side by side. Consequence stands. Exile life away from God's immediate presence is real. The way to the tree of life is guarded, so they will not live forever, stuck in ruin. Protection is inside the penalty. If they cannot grasp endless life in a broken state, there remains the hope of a healed life later. God's no here is not spite. It is mercy that keeps damage from hardening into eternity. Let me put this in a normal home. A teenager breaks a key house rule. The car keys are gone for a month. That is consequence. But dad still drives the teen to school, asks about the day, and cooks their favorite dinner on Friday. He also calls a mentor to meet with them. Boundary plus care. The message is clear. We take truth seriously, and we will not let this failure name you. That is how Genesis reads. God tells the truth, and then covers their bodies so shame does not run the story. There is cost implied in those skins. Something gives its life to cover another's shame. Genesis does not press the symbol hard here, but the arc of Scripture will. A covering atonement means a making right cover comes by sacrifice, then finally by a person. For now, hold the shape God supplies what we cannot sew, and He does it while we are still shaken. Grace is not the prize for getting it right. Grace is the gift that helps us walk out what is right. What does covered and sent look like on a weekday? You own your wrong without excuses. You also accept kindness without deflecting it. When a friend offers help after you admit a failure, you say, "Thank you," and receive the ride, the meal, or the time they give. Then you step into the next faithful task. You do not live in the trees anymore. You live in the open with covered shame and a clear plan. Here is a simple practice. If you have confessed something this week, pair it with one tangible act of care, either received or given. Receive, let someone pray for you, or take the help they offer, without paying it back immediately. Give, write a short note to the person you hurt. Name the repair you will do, and do it by a set time. Mercy plus action steadies your feet outside the garden. Small takeaway. God tells the truth about our sin, and then covers our shame so we can walk forward in the light. Next, we will talk about life east of Eden, how work relationships and worship carry thorns now, and how simple practices keep hope alive outside the gate. Reflection. Where do you need both boundary and kindness right now? And what is one concrete step to receive or offer that kindness today? The gate closes behind them. A flaming sword guards the way. At the east of the garden, He placed the cherubim. Gen 3:24 short. East of Eden means life with God still near, but not the same. Work continues, but now the ground pushes back. Marriage continues, but now pride pulls at the reins. Worship continues, but now lament, honest sorrow to God, joins our songs. We are not in paradise. We are not abandoned. Work first. Thorns and sweat do not mean your job is cursed. They mean your job needs patience and skill and prayer. You will fix the same bug twice. You will redo a shipment. You will teach the lesson again to a class that forgot. That is not failure. That is east of Eden normal. Bring dignity back by naming the neighbor your work serves. When a face returns to your task, thorns lose some sting. Relationships next. The tug of war for control will show up. You will be tempted to win the moment instead of heal the bond. When heat rises, slow the scene. Use a simple script. Here is what I heard. Here is what I meant. How can we repair? Repair is a small, clear plan. Apology, restitution, making it right, and a next step. Winning does not fix a home. Repair does. Worship now includes lament. Lament is not complaining. Lament is telling God the truth about pain and asking for His help. The Psalms are full of it. How long is a prayer God invites? Lament keeps your heart soft. It stops bitterness from building a wall. Build a simple habit. Once a week, write one line of lament and one line of trust. This part of my life hurts. I still choose to trust you here. That two-line prayer is a bridge you can walk every week. Let me put this in a normal month. Your store loses a big account. The team is tired. At home, you and your spouse keep missing each other. On Sunday, you do 3 quiet things. You rest for 2 hours without your phone. You write one lament line and one trust line. You plan one repair move for home. Tuesday night, walk phones off 15 minutes each to share highs and lows. None of this is dramatic. All of it is holy. These are east of Eden practices that keep hope bright. Do not miss the direction of the story. God does not scrap the world. He sends people to work it. and to wait for the promise. Life east of Eden can still carry Eden's vocation. You serve and guard your little patch. You tell the truth and receive mercy. You build small altars of gratitude in ordinary rooms. Every time you do, you push back a little piece of chaos. Small takeaway. Outside the garden, steady practices patient work. Honest repair and lament with trust. Keep hope alive. Next, we will gather these practices into a simple weekly plan and trace the promise to its fulfillment. Jesus opens the way back to God's presence and gives strength to live this pattern now. Reflection. Which practice do you need first? This week, patient work, honest repair, or a two-line lament? And when will you do it? Genesis gives the pattern. Jesus gives the power. He is the promised Son who crushes evil and opens the way back to God's presence. He invites weary people to rest and to learn His way. Come to me, and I will give you rest. Matt 11:28. Short. Rest is not escape. Rest is strength to walk a new rhythm. Here is a simple plan you can run this week. Form your start. Choose a daily 10-minute block to steady your morning. Read a short psalm, pray one sentence for help, and write 3 tasks that serve people, not ego. Ego means self-centered desire. Speak order into the day before the day speaks at you. This honors the forming before filling pattern and cuts early noise. Fill with good. Pick 3 good works for the week that lift others. 1 at home, 1 at work, 1 for a neighbor. Keep them small and clear. Text encouragement to a friend who is struggling. Fix the recurring issue our team keeps tripping on. Buy groceries for the elderly neighbor. Fruitfulness multiplies life in ordinary ways. You will feel the echo of very good. Guard your yes. Choose one holy no that protects a key yes. No laptop on the couch. No spending over $50 without a 24-hour pause. No sarcasm about people who are not here. Post the sentence where the choice lives. Tell one friend who will cheer you on, not police you. Limits kept in grace last longer than limits kept in fear. Walk with people. Make isolation hard. Pick 2 names, a friend and a mentor, and send a simple note. I'm trying this weekly plan. Checking in Friday. When a hard decision comes, ask them first. Community is a guardrail. Guardrail means protective fence. This counters the serpent's act alone, step before it starts. Close with Sabbath. Choose your weekly stop now. Name 1 joy, 1 mercy, 1 quiet. Joy, a meal with someone you love. Mercy, write a thank you note. Quiet, 15 minutes with a psalm. Set your phone in a drawer. Let God be God while you rest. You will return to Monday with a better yes and a kinder no. Let me put this in 1 lived week. Sunday night, you sketch the plan. Monday, you do the 10-minute start and send 2 check-in texts. Wednesday, you buy the neighbor's groceries. Thursday, you face a tricky email and pause to ask your friend for counsel. Friday, you report back. Saturday night, you set out the simple meal for Sabbath. None of this is flashy. It is faithful. Over time, it makes a different kind of week. Small takeaway. Speak order. Serve people, set a holy, no walk with friends, and stop weekly with God. Next, we will land the plane. We will recap the journey from creation to chaos to Christ and name 1 step to begin tonight. Reflection. Which single part of this plan will you start first? Form, fill, guard, walk, or Sabbath. And what exact time will you do it? We started with a spoken world, not a self-made one. God formed spaces, then filled them and crowned it all with rest. He placed us as image bearers to serve and guard. A boundary trained our freedom. A whisper twisted it. Shame hiding and blame followed. Yet right there God planted a promise, covered exposed people, and sent them with hope. Jesus fulfills that promise and invites us to live this pattern with him. Come to me, and I will give you rest. Matt chapter 11:28 short. Here is how this lands in a normal week. Tonight you set a 10-minute start for tomorrow. You write 3 people-serving tasks. You choose one holy no that protects a key yes. You text 1 friend and 1 mentor to be your guardrail. You block a weekly stop and plan 1 joy, 1 mercy, 1 quiet. None of this is grand. All of it is faithful. Over time, order returns to noisy places. Your work serves neighbors. Your limits protect love. Your heart rests more often and reacts less. If you already crossed a line today, begin with honest naming. Receive mercy, not excuses. Make 1 repair plan and date it. If you are tired, borrow Jesus' words and breathe them as a prayer. If you feel alone, step into community. Isolation is where the serpent still wins. You are not trying to earn Eden back. You are walking with the one who opens the way and teaches you how to carry Eden's vocation in a thorny world. Small takeaway. Start small. Start now. Form your start. Fill with good guard, a yes. Walk with friends. Stop weekly with God. If this journey helped you, share it with someone fighting chaos. Tell us one practice you will try this week so our community can cheer you on and learn from your step. Subscribe so you do not miss the next story. Reflection. What is your one concrete move tonight? Set your start block. Write your boundary or text your 2 guardrails. And what time will you do it? Drop 1 boundary sentence. You'll try this week. We'll pick a few and pray over them in the next episode on Cain and Abel, where worship splits and jealousy stalks the first family. Subscribe so you don't miss it.